Hello everyone and welcome to Rob's Rogues, and today we're taking a look at the Batman Legacy Edition, the Batman Arkham City Harley Quinn from Mattel. And it's kind of nice being able to review a Batman Arkham City figure, be it from DC Direct or DC Collectibles. I haven't done one in a little while since the Wave 3 from DC Collectibles. And DC Collectibles, about a month or so ago, announced that they're going to have Wave 4 coming out, and it's going to be a highly articulated Batman, which I think I might kind of pass since I've already received a Batman in every single wave. But we're going to get another Batman, a Nightwing, a Talia al Ghul, which would be really nice. The Nightwing is going to be great, and a Deadshot. So those will be the four final figures from the Batman Arkham City video game series. And it's a video game that I enjoy immensely, and I still play a lot. I replay it over and over again. I go through all the challenge maps. Of course, me being a Robin fan, I play as Robin all the time as I can, and Nightwing. But the whole story of the video game is very, very cool. And it's actually a comic book series, Batman Arkham City Unhinged, that I subscribe to. And that's kind of cool to be able to have stories around the Arkham City events and everything. So, my good friend Olivia on her channel, but she's known as Automatic 1CA, if I'm saying your name right. I really apologize as how that was to be pronounced, but she has her name listed as Olivia Reviews Action Figures and Other Items, I think is what it says. But she recently reviewed, probably a week or so ago, the Arkham City Mattel Nightwing figure, and she mentioned that she bought it through Walmart.com, and it was $9.99, and you get a $5 gift card that they actually email you the gift cards, like an e-card, for $5. And I think the price comes out to about $10, $12, and something like that. I've just looked at the invoice here for Harley Quinn. As you can see there, it says, get it in a frame there, has the Batman Legacy Edition Harley Quinn action figure, and it lists the unit price as $4.97 with a total price of $4.97, and it breaks down shipping and handling and sales tax for $5.29. So the figure, I believe, is actually $5 plus you're buying a $5 gift card, which makes the whole figure just a little over $10. And I thought that was really pretty cool as I'm filming with the light there. So this actual figure, I think, is only listed on Walmart.com as $4.97, but technically they make you buy the gift card of $5 to kind of up the price. So if you look at it that way, you're just getting a $5 gift card that you can use on your next purchase at Walmart, be it groceries or action figures or whatever. This was a Harley Quinn that I had been wanting to get when she was announced in part of the Legacy line, and I actually came across the DC Direct one first, and I have the DC Direct just off the side. The Legacy box, we'll look at the box real quick, is basically exactly the same as before that we've seen previously. And if you go to my Facebook page, I've taken a picture of the box and everything, but a nice likeness, a really good likeness to Harley Quinn in action figure form. And here is the back. It shows the other figures would be Nightwing that I've reviewed. If you go back to my channel, I cannot remember the number right offhand, but I've reviewed him. And of course, we have Harley Quinn here. We could take a look at the bio here, and I'll see if I can get this in frame and read it. It says Arkham Asylum psychiatrist Dr. Harlwy Quinn was assigned to treat the Joker, but became obsessed with her patient instead, falling madly in love with him. After she helped the madman escape, the good doctor connected with her own criminal identity, Harley Quinn. She is a violent and unpredictable, and her only motivation beyond general mayhem is earning the Joker's maniacal approval. And since her beau's Titan overdose in Arkham Asylum, Harley's mind has further deteriorated. She is blindly devoted to put a smile on her puddin's face, even if it means putting herself in harm's way. I think that's a nice, cute little read-up, and there's another picture of Harley in pose. So a really, really nice figure. I like this one an awful lot. A really, really good head sculpt on her. And I don't think... I thought somebody had said her ponytails were movable. It feels like they might want to move. The box shows them as being able to move. I don't necessarily think they do. Now somebody will probably correct me, but I'm not really seeing a joint in there at all. So I do not think they move. Maybe on the original prototype they were going to. But a really, really good looking figure. I like this one. Mattel and the Arkham City line has been kind of hit or miss. There have been things I've liked about the Mattel figures and things I've disliked about the figures. Robin is one of those I had a really hard time picking between the DC Direct and the Mattel version. I'll get my final thoughts here once I get the other Harley Quinn up here. We can do a size comparison. But it's really, really good figure. Solid figure. We'll look at some of her accessories here. She does come with the poster, which I think this is a nice... It's a cute little touch. It's one of the first Arkham City pieces of artwork we have seen. The black and white version. The only other two figures I'm missing are the black and whites of Catwoman and Batman. I'm not planning on getting them at all unless I saw them really, really cheap somewhere. But I already have the Batman and Catwoman colorized version, so there was no need. So now technically I have all the Mattel Arkham City figures. Saved too, but I'm not going to pick them up. She does come with a display stand in the gray pewter looking scale. It's got the old DC logo on it. Original Batman logo. Like I said, her name on it. And she does come with her bat, which she can hold this really well in either hand. I think it's actually more fitted for her right hand, as it is the smaller. Of course, as I'm dropping things, that's always good and professional. So I'm trying to get this in her hand. I had a real hard time with the DC Collectibles Harley Quinn. It's kind of one of those that's... There we go. If I can do it on film or not. So she does hold it. It's made of a really kind of a soft, bendy rubber plastic, rubbery plastic. So her DC Direct counterpart is kind of holding the bat like this, just opposite-handed. She does stand up with it pretty good. Now, my Harley's right leg is a little bent. If you can see that, it's turned in a little bit. She was kind of in the package like this. So this leg was kind of being pushed this direction in the box, which I don't need them in the dynamic pose in their box. I think that really kind of hurts the figure. They could just be standing just like this in the package, not moving, no arms, just straight down, and that's going to be fine. I don't need them in a pose. I guess if I was somebody that I wanted them mint on card, then I guess the pose might be nice, but a lot of us tend to open them up. While I'm kind of moving her, let's go over her articulation. We've kind of showed her head, moves in a 360. A standard DC UC articulation for the most part. Her arms can are on a little hinge right there. So up and down. She does move at the elbow, and move at the elbow if I have her in frame here, Rob. And her hand does rotate. She turns at the waist, or actually more at the torso. No ab crunch. Her legs go out, back and forth. She has a swivel at the knee, and also a bend at the knee. She does have a ankle articulation as well, and a really good articulation, if I must say so myself. Probably one of the better ones, other than maybe the New 52 Mattel Superman. At least on mine, his foot moves really pretty good. Her bat is a little bent on my figure. but she doesn't seem to need her display base very much at all. And she looks really good next to the Joker from the Robin and Joker Mattel 2-pack. And I really, really like this figure. And even though I know this is Harley's review right now, but looking at this Joker, reading the death of the family, this Joker face really reminds me of the death in the family Joker face. So I thought that was kind of cool. To bring up her counterpart from DC Collectibles, there is definitely a difference, and this is one of the few times probably in people doing reviews. I know people have been on the fence about the Catwomen that we've received from Arkham Asylum. A lot of people really like the Mattel version, and other people really like the DC Collectibles version, and I've heard the same thing about Harley, and I can really see why. A lot of the same exact markings. The diamonds are the exact same color on both places. Black here, red here, red here. The tattoos are exactly the same, which I also think is pretty cool. They go all the way around. The DC Collectibles does have more color in here, as the Mattel version is just straight black and white. So this does win in the coloring tattoo. Harley's belt on the Mattel version does not move. It's a sculpted on piece. You can see her thongs right here on either side, and this little Joker tattoo on her hip, which the DC Collectibles version does have. You can see her thong there, and it's a colored tattoo. The belt on the DC Collectibles is a separate piece with a real chain. And then just some painted parts. But all these diamonds that are painted throughout the DC Collectibles version, the Mattel version is all a molded and raised up. They actually come up off of the figure. And I think that is a really, really good touch. As Harley's belt's kind of floating around up here. Even though this belt doesn't move, I like the waist a lot more in the Mattel version than I do with DC Collectibles. And I don't mean to be the sexist here, but even in the proportion and bust size of the figures, even though the DC Collectibles bust on Harley is a little bit more defined, the Mattel's version is a little bit more in proportion to her body than this one is. But the leaving that side out of it, now, again, not trying to be the sexist pig here, but the biggest improvement and the biggest thing that I notice out of the figure is the face. The Mattel face is so much better. And the Mattel face, I think, is a really good representation of Harley from the video game. This Harley almost looks a little scared and looks more like a geisha type of a character. And I just don't think the face really suits her. And I think that she's too tiny. In proportion all the way around. Her waist, her legs, especially once you get above her waist, I feel like everything is really shrunk down, almost as if the mold on everything had shrunk. And her head doesn't look in quite the right proportion. But the Mattel Harley, I think, is proportionately a lot better than the DC Collectibles Harley. And as you can tell, the DC Collectibles Harley is on a base, so she should be just a tad bit taller, but the Mattel version is a little bit taller. And the Joker is still taller than the Mattel Joker, still taller than the Mattel Harley, and he almost kind of towers over the DC Collectibles Harley. So I guess it's depending on proportionate, and I think this is one of those times that had both these figures come out at the same time, I think I only would have bought the Mattel version. I just think it's the better looking figure. I had such a hard time trying to find Nightwing and Harley from Mattel that, of course, when Wave 1 came out, we didn't realize we were getting a Batman Legacy Harley Quinn at all, so I thought this was going to be the only one. So that's kind of one of those that I wish they both were out at the same time. So you kind of run into these things where I end up buying two of the exact same figure. I can have all my Mattel figures stand together and all my DC Collectibles figures, but if I was going to buy one, the one that I would buy, and I generally don't say this too often on the channel and say I would only buy this one, I'd buy the Mattel one. I think the Mattel is just a better figure overall. Now, I've heard some people say that the Mattel head might be a tad bit too big. I think it's in really good proportion. Looking at it next to the DC Collectibles, you can just see how tiny this Harley is, and I don't think she's supposed to be that petite. She almost looks too tiny next to the Mattel Joker or even the DC Collectibles Joker, which I do not own. And next to Catwoman, I know not every single person in the world is exactly the same, but she still looks too tiny. She looks too much like a kid in the DC Collectibles. So I'm really happy to finally have Harley Quinn from Mattel. I really, really like this figure a lot. A good buy. Olivia, thank you very much for buying Nightwing online and reviewing him and telling me about the Walmart.com being able to pick up Harley Quinn. So if anybody had a hard time finding Nightwing and Harley Quinn from Mattel, you can go pick them up. Now, that being said, if you haven't picked up a Nightwing yet from the Batman Arkham City, again, this is another case. Just wait a little bit longer and get the DC Collectibles. As much as I like the Mattel Nightwing, he's a little funny looking, and we'll wait until I get that Nightwing and I'll review both of them at the same time. So I think this was really good. I got her for really cheap. I think she's still going for around 20 bucks, sometimes on eBay. You can find her on Amazon for roughly right around $18 to $20. So if you haven't picked her up, go to Walmart.com. Again, I feel like I'm plugging Walmart here, but you can pick her up for 10 bucks and you'll receive a Walmart gift card. So I think actually technically you only pay $4.97 for the figure, and then you buy a $5 gift card, and there you go. So the cents in shipping on this one was actually 32 cents technically for the figure. So that's been a look at Harley Quinn from Batman Arkham City, the Batman Legacy line, and I think this is a very, very nice looking figure. Again, putting the two up side by side and just looking at their faces, you don't hear a lot of people say this very often, but I think DC Collectibles kind of missed the mark with Harley Quinn, and I really, really think this is kind of the definitive Harley Quinn. If you haven't bought her yet, I suggest you go out and do so. So that's going to do it here for me, and as always, this is Rob for Rob's Rogue signing off, saying we will see you guys next time.